Good morning, folks, and welcome to our broadcast. Happy to be here with you guys. Do let us know if you're hearing us loud and clear this morning. That is what we want to be. And that's how we want to be heard. Good morning to each and every one of you. Wherever you're joining us this Tuesday morning, Tuesday the 22nd day of April, folks, the month done. The month is finished. Yeah, believe it or not. We hope that whatever you all are doing, those goals and dreams and hopes and aspirations you all are chasing, that you all closing in on it. The year is fast running out. April, May, June. Then we get into June is my birth month, and then we halfway through the year already. That's what concerns me the most. Put a birthday on positive if I have to, for us to get ahead of some of the issues we contended with. But good to see all of you on the live this morning. Post Easter, the kids still home for a couple of days. I know most of them heading back out next week, Monday, I think it is. So you still got, to exercise a lot of patience. But good to have you guys with us this morning. Wherever you're joining us from, Beverly, Glen, and Shamila, Edgel, Siobhan, Yolanda, Erwin, Cyclin, Mark, Penelope, Charlene, Beverly, Ingrid, Anjali, Pam, Siobhan, Cheryl, all of you, wherever you all joining us from. Look, I started this long holiday weekend saying I ain't doing nothing. And then the nothing was like it was too much for me. The doing nothing was too much for me. I know my family would have loved if I was really and truly staying true to that, So I found myself in Linden, almost got up to Essequibo, Region 2. I had to put a pause on that. Marcia Agard from Kokwani. Good to have you on the live this morning, Marcy. Sorry I couldn't see you the other day. Marcy. Next time, we can make up for it. Good to have all of you on. Folks, tomorrow I'm going to be off because I have to be on the ground. And I can't do both things simultaneously, but I will keep you guys posted as it goes on tomorrow. I'm going to be off tomorrow morning, especially because we got to get you guys the valid and the credible information. And I'm going to be going on the ground tomorrow and getting that information. And you guys are going to see some updates on that during the course of the day, not during the course of the morning. And then, by God's grace, we're going to be back on in the evening to wrap up the day. June, Cameron says we outside. Rihanna Mingo, good morning to you. Good morning, June. Cheryl, good to have you on the live this morning too. And all the other folks. Folks, tis the season, Tis the season and we ain't got a whole lot of focus. You got lots of things coming to distract us. But don't let us be unduly detained by foolishness and foolish people. And let me hold a focus. Okay? We got some things to discuss this morning. And some of what we're going to discuss this morning, you're going to be shooked. You're going to be shooked, especially the second half. The second half of the program. Camille, good morning. Camille Gomes, or is it Gomez, says she's locked in from Kokwani. I love me some Kokwani, folks. Cecile, good to have you on the live. Gila Dickock, Crystal Simon, Marlon Thomas says boots on the ground. Happy to have all of you folks on the live this morning. Happy to have all of it. I salute you all who are here with us day in, day out. Y'all understand this in the back of y'all hands now. Some of y'all, take the seat, the man. Take the seat, the man. Morning, Belgium this morning. She's not in PK. She's not in Port Kaituma. Morning is joining us from Belgium this morning. Good morning, Morna. Good to have you on the live this morning. Simone Graves is here as well, and Desmond Harris, Oret Bentic, Marcia Jackman, Marcia, all the Marcias are here. Marcia Agar, Marcia Jackman, Mandy Cummins, Sandy Francis. Yeah, tis the season. And day by day, it behooves us. I mean, sometimes I slip and take my eyes off a little bit. Too. So let's hold the focus together. Hold the focus. I'll show you some things to focus on this morning. I'll show you some stuff to focus on. Simone Graves. I'll show you some stuff that's worth sharing. You see? I'll show you some stuff. Some people think it's only road building is development. You put up a building here, you put up a school there. That's welcome and that's good. But you got other things that go with it. It's like the folks who think election and democracy is only about putting a ballot in a box. You don't care how it meet there. Minus all the requisite statutory documentation. You're not concerned how it got there. Once you got some paper there, you don't care if it's stuffing, choking, frauding. Once you got something there, that alone is not democracy. And that alone is not an election. Similarly, development, governance, a lot of things got to work in tandem. A lot of levers, a lot of cogs got to pull in the same direction. And I'll show you a couple of things. You remember recently we discussed the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index. There's another report out similar to that, that echoes some of the same sentiments. But before we get there, Culvis and Sherwin and Neil Diamond Star. I like Neil Diamond, full stop. Sweet Caroline, full stop. Neil Diamond, Neil Diamond Star. Good to have you in the live too, and Gail and Orwin and Culvis. Good to have all of you. I see we got Robin here too, and Altia and Fratia and Gloria Chester's on the live too. Happy to have all of you all with us this morning. It's a distinct privilege, folks, and an honor to be here with you folks with the valid and credible information day after day and morning after morning especially. I know we had Easter. Forgive the quality of the image. I want to let you know that we grab a portion of this from, I think it's Visit Guyana. They did a lovely, what do you call it? Drone shot of the beach in front of Marriott. Yeah, we got beach. We just got what the front. Yeah. We got beach. If you want the little blue, I think I have to head to the Linden Lake. I saw a lot of snakes by the lake. I saw a particular snake by the lake. But that's another show. As I said, I want to hold the focus. I saw a snake by the lake. All right. Snake by the lake. I saw it. Saw it. So, I saw lots of folks out with their families. That's good. That is good. Oh, you went out with your family yesterday, or you stayed in with your family. Time with family is important. I was in Berbice yesterday with my family. Yesterday. Linden, Saturday, Sunday, Berbice yesterday. I was being Escribo on Sunday, but we had to tweak that. Was in Berbice instead. But Marriott Beachfront had a lot of folks. And you know where else? I saw number 63 Beach too. These are some photographs we pulled that we saw making the rounds on social media in circulation. I love when we get together like this. It's sad we're entering into a very tense period in our country's history. It's sad in that regard. And then we become so suspicious of each other, you know. It's really sad. It's really sad. And the worst of it, we didn't see yet. You can get the Auntie Suckies of this world. You can get what the young fella, the name? I hope he, you know, turned his life around. The rancid racism. You get all of that. I'm so happy to have been blessed into the family that I was blessed into. We got everybody. You know. I got my indigenous heritage from my father's side. You can see it. You can see it. From my mother's side, I got my Chinese heritage. You know, I tell you about the hot girl I had as a great-grandmother and grandmother. You know, the man from Hong Kong. I tell you all the whole thing already. And then we got some beautiful Indian ancestry too. My own sister was married Pandey. I got nephews that, you know, you see them, you want to associate with me. You might go up to them and say, see this big head one here? You see this Jacobite here, Duncan? But you don't know what you don't know. You see, life is like that. They look nothing like me. They look as Indian could be. She's married, my sister was married Pandey. I got an aunt who's married Singh. You see, we're a mixed-up family. I have another aunt who's married Narayan. So we got our Indian ancestry, we got our indigenous, we got our Chinese, we have our African ancestry. It's a whole mix, European, everything. One cook-up family. You know, one cook-up family. a true Guyanese family in every sense. You know, in every sense. So I'm happy that you guys are here with us. As I said, I was in Linden over the weekend. Can't go to Linden, you're in touch base with royalty there. You know, if you go to the UK, you gotta see the king. You gotta go to Buckingham Palace. So as I touched down in Linden, you know, stopped in to see His Worship the Mayor, stopped in to see His Excellency the Vice Chair. You pay respects in that regard. We gotta do things properly. We can't operate while we whole life. We just can't. You know. So I sat down and talked with the mayor. Just gonna give you a snippet of it. We started talking about the Tongue Week. You know, the Tongue Clerk in Linden thinks he week. He thinks it's Tongue Clerk Week. He want to take over, he want boss, he want instruct. I hate people like that. Folks, good folks, if I ever get in office, in government, and I start behaving, say, yeah, box me. What tax? I give you full privilege. Full privilege. You know, I don't even know if I want to go in office. I want to stay in the private sector, build this thing we got here. Credible sources. From strength to strength. From grace to grace. You know. But if ever, you know, powers transformed some people. Token came. All high and mighty. This little snotty nose, jowsy ears, jiggle foot. I remember a particular character in what's the name of the book? That Trevor Rowan book. What's the name of it? My Lord, slipping me now. Nevertheless, this character, hear me character stage, this character. He thinks it's Tongue Clerk Week. So the mayor and I spoke very briefly about Tongue Week and the importance of it. And we also touched on Ronaldo Peters and Keon Fajine, who were laid to rest on Sunday. We touched on them too. Here's some of that, folks, for you. Whoever joining us from this morning, we're privileged to have all of you. And welcome. I see so many of you on the live. Perhaps I'll give some of you a shout when we come. Here's some what the mayor and I spoke about. Mayor Sharma Solomon, Municipality of Linden. Take a look.
This is one of the most resilient communities that you can find. This is a community very homogeneous in how it came together. 1970, 55 years to be commemorated on the 29th of April, 1970. Linden became a town, bringing three communities together of Christianburg, Wismar, and Mackenzie. And in those 55 years, where Linden would have positioned itself not only geographically as embracing 6 other regions, but economically and all the things that would have contributed. We remember in the heydays of the bauxite generation. Yeah. But notwithstanding those things, there are many other areas of development and scope for development that this Tongue Week we intend to use as the vehicle to move Linden and promote it as the heart of Guyana, as the theme of Tongue Week. But before I get to Tongue Week, the mood of Linden, as I mentioned, as resilient as we are, is one where we are very somber at the moment. We've lost two of our citizens in Mr. Ronaldo Peters and Mr. Keon Fudgeny. And those are very unfortunate incidents when we have young men losing their lives unarmed at the arm of the state, the coercive arm of the state, the Guyana Police Force. And even though we have an ongoing investigation, what you continue to hear are the cries for justice. The young people are very hurt by the fact that they've lost two of these young men.
And under the circumstances too.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, do you think it's a kind of providence that you dealt with a similar situation in the past, and here is this burden yet again on your shoulders to carry?
Certainly, but notwithstanding, I think the environment that we in, that is Guyana under this current administration, is one where these issues are not far removed from the reality of the governance structure, of what government appreciates the use of the arm of the state, and the way that we see in general the Guyana Police Force as an organization functioning under this administration consecutively.
That was of course, the mayor of Linden, the one and only His Worship Sharma Solomon, talking to us about some of the issues there. And as I was in Linden, that's my born tongue, you know. Who vex? Just see Linden at least once in your life. You know, we were in the cool of the afternoon talking there, and a beautiful park. You know, just opposite that you have the Mackenzie High School. You know, and then you have the Demar River opening up there so beautifully. You know, there's something about bodies of water, you know, that calms us. So tranquil and so peaceful. And I overnighted. I had the privilege of overnighting in Linden on Saturday. Woke up in Amelia's ward. I was looking for the bishop. Woke up in Amelia's ward, who no. And I took a long walk out to the back of Amelia's ward. And if you see land, it's virgin land almost. Just green as far as the eye can see. And you get out there about 6 o'clock in the morning and the mist is thick and hanging down. It is so serene and so beautiful, you know, so serene and picturesque and beautiful, you know, and just thinking about life and the jagabats and the trench crappos and thinking about life and, you know, how beautiful that was, soaking it all up and thinking about the jagabats and the trench crappos, the tadpoles and so. It was beautiful, beautiful. We spoke with the regional chairman, His Excellency Darren Adams. We talked a little bit about that fire situation there that has now been deemed as a regional disaster by the authorities. We spoke to him about that, and he also touched on the issue of these young men and what's happening in Linden and calling for peace and calm. As you know, they were interred on Sunday, both of them. It was quite a scene there. I saw police shooting tear gas at people, all manner of things. It's quite telling, you know. I've seen protests. I never see a protest I didn't really like. All parts of this country, you know, from top to bottom. But it's only in places like Linden you see tear gas and live rounds being used and so on. I see people doing all manner of things in taxis and so on, right? And police patiently cooperated with them and inevitably resolved the issue. You know, whether they're blocking the road or they had encumbrances on the roadway, whatever it was. But so in Linden, you know, tear gas, that shoot off one time. What's wrong with us, boy? What's wrong with us? Right? Take a look. The chairman of Region 10, Darren Adams, tonight. The disaster. It is now declared as a regional disaster. This is that the sawmill dump that's been burning for perhaps the last 5-6 days.
So, well, let me first say that it's unfortunate that disaster would have occurred. Industrial waste disposal, we must be able to, going forward, have proper systems in place to manage it. I want to say that quickly, recognizing what was occasioned there, we activated the Disaster and Preparedness Committee, and we brought together the key stakeholders to provide support. And we were able to assist the firefighters who were on the ground with a request was made for an excavator, face masks. We had the regional health officer come on board to assist us with that. The Guyana Water Authority manager, Mr. Friday, has been supporting as well. We had a fire hydrant set up at the site to assist the firefighters. The private sector came on board and they were assisting with the trucks and so on. So we had a core team in place assisting us to contain the fire there, which came about as a result of over 20 years of waste material, wood and so on, being dumped there by millers.
Talk to us, give us an update about the investigation into the killing of Ronaldo Peters and Keon.
Well, let me say this because I know persons are anxiously awaiting the reports and the investigation. I want to, from the onset, say that the RDC, of which I am heading, councillors, and I can speak on behalf of them, we stand firmly with the relatives and friends of both Ronaldo Peters and Keon Fojide, who were shot and killed by
agents of the state.
And even as they seek to clear answers at this time, and we continue to call for a thorough investigation, we want them to know that we stand resolute with them. I want to make it clear that at no time, in my view, the people of Linden should be blamed for anything that transpired here in Linden. We recognize the deep pain and grief that this has created, this shooting, and we will continue to extend our deepest condolences and sincere sympathy to the residents, friends, families of the affected parties, and we continue to echo the calls of that the residents themselves have been asking for, as well as us, for an independent investigation. I would have preferred, and I will continue to say, that I only have confidence at this point in time in a credible agency like the FBI. I know persons are angry and they're upset, but it is neither reasonable nor fair, in my estimation, to expect individuals, Sherrod, to completely put their lives on hold, whether that means forfeiting. And so we must strive for a balance and compassionate approach, one that honors the memory of those that we lost, while, of course, respecting the diverse realities and obligations of our people, right? And so I call on all of our citizens to be responsible in their actions.
Yep, that's some of what the regional chairman, Darren Adams, told us in Linden over the weekend. And I had such a great time, always have a great time talking with regional officials there. And you know what? I got a slight bias. In the last 4 or 5 years, I've been to Linden more than any other place. I've been to Linden every week of the last 3 weeks. You know, inadvertently, there's something happening that needs your attention. And so I've been to Linden perhaps every week of the 4 last week. I have that bias. I don't know why. Maybe because I was born there, lived there a little bit. And that's my born tongue, folks. And so I love those regional officials, always working hard, you know, and always looking for some way to enhance what they do and to ensure that the public there understands what's happening, because these guys understand the assignment. You know, the regional chairman and I, as long as we've been talking for the last 4 or 5 years, we've been raising some issues. I'm hoping to get them resolved, because, you know, we hear with all this transformation that's happening in Guyana, and we keep looking for it and so on. You know, throw a little concrete in water is that transformation, right? I see a lot of folks talking about what transpired at Carifta. I saw one of our sports personality that says, we got 10 medals in 2018. In 2018, was it? 2018 was our highest year of medaling. I think that's one of the things he said. We got some medals over the last 2 years, but this year we had the largest contingent, but we only bagged 4 medals. I think we had a 40-man contingent, but only bagged 4 medals. You see, because our focus is misplaced. We worried about the wrong things. Folks, listen to me. A little theatric is good, Edward. Right? A little theatric is good, Diane, Edward, Brenda. A little theatric is good. Right? But after you throw on the red jacket and you moonwalk and whine, we have to lead this country. Right? After you rev the brake, vroom, 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 vroom. We got to fix some issues in this country. After you rev your bike without your helmet and so on and thing and so on. And nobody next to you wear it day or neither. We setting all the bad example. After all of that, well, after all that, you done set the bad example. How you going to come out front now and say, wear a helmet? These folks not thinking. But the regional chairman and they've been attacking these issues on the ground, of course, trying to move, bring progress, bring real development to their people. And yet, issues that we have been looking at since 2020 rather, 2021, 2022, 2023, are recurring issues. Claire Alexis Charmley, we can get you nowhere with them. Diane Primo, Mortal, we're meeting nowhere with them. Listen to the regional chairman there and Adams and I discuss a couple more of those issues. Take a look.
Of the Linden Suicide Highway as it was coming up, I stopped. Several persons spoke to me, welcomed the initiative, but this long delay. There's no work on the road happening right now, for instance, and a lot of the motorists are complaining. Your thoughts?
Well, if we had a government in place that operated and put sensible policies in place, and if they had acted upon the advice given to them by the opposition and by the RDC, we would have been in a better place. First of all, I want to remind persons that the Linden Suicide Highway and the feasibility study for that was conceptualized during the 2015-2020 period. And the desire was for us to add 2 additional lanes. So had we commenced 2 lanes and then have that completed, it would have avoided all of the unnecessary delays that we're having now and experiencing now, because we could have worked on the 2 lanes, and then once those were completed, you work on the existing 2 lanes. The government clearly deviated from that and they proceeded. It has created frustration among Lindeners, among investors, among people passing through Linden. Many persons, taxi drivers, have complained about their window screen damaging because trucks are flying past them. The repair costs have gone up for them for struts and tires that are being popped on the uneven surface that is there. And one would have thought, and I would have seen, I think it was the mayor who posted, where at least the government could have completed 1 lane, like it's done in other developed countries. Develop 1 section of the highway lane, 1 lane first, and once you've completed that, then you move across to the other lane. We are now left to battle with this most chaotic experience.
All right, Bambia Primary School.
Still not finishes yet.
Not finishes
yet. I've reached to the point where I have stopped even speaking about the Bambia Primary School. The Bambia Primary School.
Yeah.
All right?
So that's outstanding too. What about the Mackenzie Sports Club facilities?
Same thing. Not completed.
Not completed as yet either.
Mind you, the talent basket for the region right now has no facility that can comfortably accommodate athletes, residents, parents who want to go watch their children run or participate. No venue has been completed.
What about the Bayrock?
Right. Same, Bayrock has not been completed. The Ministry
Sports,
the Bayrock Community Center Ground. The Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports have received combined from 2020 to 2025 close to $30 billion, and yet no facility in the talent basket for the country has been completed. The swimming pool at Kokwani has not been completed. The facility at Mackenzie High School across there, the retrieve ground, has not been completed. The Bear Rock facility has not been completed. The Darfolk home, nothing has been done. Since Granger and the AP and UFC left and assisted them in the refurbishing, they promised, this government promised that they were going to upgrade the facility. After, you remember, they throw the senior citizens paraphernalia and other equipment that they had out. We protested them. They backpedaled. They said that the first lady was going to come and do a dinner, and they were going to give them a stove and all of these things, and they were going to activate the Wednesday program, games program that they had there on a weekly program. Nothing of this sort.
Never happened. Okay.
Never happened. So it's important that the public know that none of the projects that the coalition initiated and handed over to this government, the PPP government, have still not been completed. Well, you all recall, for 23 years, the PPP denied us access to this Linden to Mabura corridor, the Linden to Lethem Road. Within 3 years, the APNU AFC did the feasibility study. The Minister Patterson was asked to submit several projects, and the UK government would have selected the Linden to Lethem Road project. Linden to Mabura was the first phase. The PPP government said it was not a project that they were interested in. In fact, if you check their manifesto, and this is what people must always ask for. In the absence of evidence, perception becomes greater than facts. And Edgell has a sweet tongue. Right? He loves to come and talk. And he's caught on camera saying that the Linden Mackenzie Bridge was never a part of their manifesto. They never had it on the agenda. But if you check the coalition's manifesto, you will see us speaking about a 4-lane bridge across the Demerara River. You will see us speaking about the Linden to Mabura Road, signing the deal. They're securing it. The only thing that they did, and I referenced there the feasibility study, the only thing that they came in and did was finalize the contract.
Welcome back, folks. That is Regional Chairman Darren Adams walking us through the issues we've been talking about them for the last 4 or 5 years. those are only a couple. I mean, I was laughing because we keep talking about them all the time. We keep talking about them all the time. Now, that whole stretch of highway, I drove there twice over the weekend, and there was no work being done. No work being done. Now, you would think when less people are traversing the highway, that'd be the ideal time. You know? That'd be the ideal time. But it would appear, hear me out, it would appear that they've pulled their contractors from such sites to finish up work in other areas that are kinder to them electorally. It seems they pulled the contractors, right? At least you can say the start. That seems to have been the aim. You can say the start, at least they start the bridge, at least they start the road. And now they've pulled the contractors for them to complete areas that are more, that are kinder to them electorally. Yeah. And I've seen lots of people complaining about that. And when you look at the areas in which they're complaining, you know, the contractor just left the street, the contractor just left the road, and they disappear. You understand what's happening? I heard folks from in South quarreling over the weekend. You know, they're making a 4-lane on Abbey Barker Street. They dig up the sides of the road, and it was a swamp, it was a lake with the rainfall. Who cares about that? Who cares about that? And they disappeared. Why? They suddenly disappeared. South Ramveld is not an area that traditionally votes PPP. If you get 200 votes, 100 votes out of South Ramveld, you get plenty for the PPP. So they disappear. You see? No certain facts of the matter. You don't want to think race. You don't want to think, you know, friends, family, and favorites. But it is what it is when you see it. But before we run out of time this morning, I want to turn your attention to another issue. You remember that Transparency International report recently that talked about what it talked about, the Corruption Perception Index in Guyana. One of the things that report said is that the public sector, where contract awards are concerned, the report said it has been captured. I don't know if you'll hear me clearly. Captured. Captured. Taken. Part 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. It has been taken by some special interests. By some special interests. This morning, I want to turn your attention to another report. I got to refer to my notes because I want to be so accurate. I want to turn your attention to the 2025. This is a State Department report. On the line, State Department, Thomasina, Ben, Brenda, Rena, Carol, Yonette. On the line, State Department, U.S., mind you, State Department. Trump, State Department. Biden, State Department. Right? The 2025 International Narcotics Strategy Report. That's the name of it. And it's reporting in two areas: on drugs and chemical control and on money laundering. Again, it's a U.S. State Department report, and it's the 2025 International Narcotics Control and Strategy Report. If you share the life of this, you wicked. You wicked bad too. Plenty enough. I don't want to delay you all at all on this account. I want to head to it. Look at, I'm just pulling some of the things. And you all talk some of your friends in the PPP. Let us see valid and credible information. Feel free to tag some of them. I'm just pulling a couple nuggets from the report. A couple nuggets, not plenty. Right? Here is some of what this report says. Again, this is the 2025 International Narcotics Control Strategy Report from the U.S. State Department. And it's talking about, here what it's talking about. It's talking about efforts of key countries to attack all aspects of the international drug trade for the calendar year 2024. It is describing efforts in key countries to attack all aspects of the international drug trade in the calendar year 2024. And it's reporting in two instances: in drug and chemical control and money laundering. In the first instance, here is some of what it said about the PPP government in 2024, right? I'm quoting verbatim: the public sector, including law enforcement and customs officials, remain underpaid. It's not the opposition in Guyana saying that. They remain underpaid. Mind you, in light of the oil wealth, the report says this, in spite of the largest, in spite of the fastest growing economy, the high income country, the biggest capita per GDP, all this is on paper, remains underpaid, which, coupled with a lack of resources and shortcomings in the legal systems, allow drug traffickers to exploit government systems. It allows drug traffickers to exploit government systems. So when I see drug traffickers endorsing them boys, I say, oh Lord, the people know the story. The people here know the story. This is State Department, talking about the PPP administration. And this is the part of the report that's reporting on drug and chemical control. So that's number one. If you share the live yet, you're wicked. I vex at you. Here's another little nugget for you. The report says, this is the U.S. State Department, the friend Rubio. Guyana continues to lack commitment and resources for significant progress in reducing drug demand. Pim, pim. Pim, pim. Pim, pim. 2024 for you. It's not 2020. It's not 2021, the report, no. Not 2022, not 2023. They're in full command of the country and the commanding heights of the economy and the narco trade. This is what the State Department is saying. Guyana continues to lack commitment and resources for significant progress in reducing the drug demand. Folks, I tell you all, if you ain't share the life yet, you're wicked. You're part of the problem too. Valid and credible information. This is why I started the program. I ain't finished there, you know. No. We got a couple minutes to go with all the little nuggets. That's why I said to you when we started the program, let me hold a focus. Right? We're not going to be distracted by no house slave, by no soup drinker, by nobody who bending the knee and kissing the ring, because you're trying to avoid a conviction and possibly, pay some fines or even jail time. I'm not going to be distracted by that. What I am acutely focused on is bringing you folks valid and credible information. If the PPP got information on me, I'll put it out there. Whatever it is, put it out there. Chronicle, whatever it is. If you ain't shared it live yet, folks, this is facts, This is not fiction. This is the U.S. State Department 2025 International Narcotics Control Strategy Report. It's a mouthful, and it's reporting in two areas: drugs and chemical control and money laundering. We're speaking about the first instance here, drug and chemical control. And the report describes the efforts of key countries like Guyana to attack all aspects of the international drug trade. And they're reporting for the calendar year 2024. The PP is 4 years in government. 4 years in government, and everything come back. So last thing I said to you is that the report says we lack the commitment and resources for significant progress in reducing drug demand. Here what else it says. Here what else it says. You remember Transparency International talked about corruption, and we fell on the index because corruption is so thorough and plenty. Hear what the State Department report is saying. Corruption poses a significant obstacle to Guyana's effort to combat drug trafficking. This is the thing I want to see them boys writing about. Y'all fire back at the State Department. It is talking about the PPPC administration, not Abdu AFC. It is talking about the PPPC administration. All them who endorsing and defending the drug traffickers. It's all the State Department talking about. Corruption poses a significant obstacle to Guyana's efforts to combat drug trafficking. When you see drug traffickers endorsing them boys, it's because they're welcome there, they're embraced, they're cuddled. They're nestled neatly in the PPP. So the State Department says, U.S. State Department, this includes corruption within law enforcement, bribery, and nepotism. Nepotism, underline it in red. Anan, Chevron, Anan, underline it in red. Anan, underline that in red. Nepotism, friends, family, favorites, and flatterers. Nepotism. Listen to what the report says. Traffickers can evade prosecution due to drop charges or lack of serious investigations. The economic appeal of the drug trade also hinders efforts. Last year, remember that? We had in the history of the country the biggest cocaine bust. How many tons they found? How many tons? The biggest. So, our detractors who are on the live with your comments, don't fight me. Fight the State Department. Go make your post on Facebook and beat back the State Department. You can find this information for yourself on the internet, Just search for the 2025 International Narcotics Control Strategy Report. You'll find that. Read it for yourself. It's 2 reports, volume 1 and volume 2. And you'll see. Do your homework for yourself. Y'all are drug pushers. Y'all have turned this country into a narco state. Y'all have done it. So that's only part of what they say, you know. Y'all have a couple of minutes more. Can I beg for 5 minutes more? Or should we close the show now? Can we take another couple of minutes? They got a couple other things, you know. Right? I want to see y'all firing off now. You know, the trench crappers and them boys. You know, I don't like to get too feisty early in the morning. But this is thing for make posts. Right, Jamesy? And talk about what narco state Guyana has become under the PPP. Under the PPP. I'd rather stand on my own, you know, with my colleagues on this side, with clean hands, than kissing the ring and bending a knee to cocaine, than destroying the lives of people in our country. I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. I do good. Miss me. Miss me. This is what the report says. Here's another nugget for you. This is the 2025 International Narcotics Control Strategy Report, reporting for last year, 2024. Guyana is deeply entrenched in illicit drug trade. Guyana's deeply entrenched illicit drug trade contributes significantly to increased crime and corruption. Guyana's deeply entrenched illicit drug trade contributes significantly to increased crime and corruption. How are we going to ever solve it? If all you got to do is when you get catch, endorse them boys. When you get a hole, endorse them boys. Y'all remember Suzanne's niece? Not Suzanne's niece. Parag. Sonia's niece. Sonia's niece got hole at Cherry Jagan International with cocaine strapped to her body. It wasn't in a suitcase alone. Cocaine strapped to her body. Zenil, where is she now? She facing time? Guyana's deeply entrenched illicit drug trade contributes significantly to increased crime and corruption. Increased crime and corruption. In those instances, that is volume 1 of the report talking about drugs and chemical control and efforts of key countries to attack all aspects of international drug trade for 2024. Here it's talking about money laundering. Here it's talking now about money laundering. This is volume 2 of the 2025 International Narcotics Control Strategy Report, volume 2, but the PP administration in 2024. Let these be the things that God will focus. These are the issues that are on the ballot in 2025. Are we going to continue to be a narco state under the PPP? Or are we going to turn a corner? Hear what it says about money laundering. Money laundering in Guyana has grown into a systemic, Jesus have mercy, into a systemic issue. I want James M. run out with this. And Alfonso and all the rest. Y'all run out with this, the man. Attack the State Department. Systemic issues involving both public officials and private citizens. Ow. Some of them part in the business with money laundering money. So how they can say a word on Facebook on this? How they can talk against their friends? How they might talk against themselves? How they can do it? They can't incriminate themselves. Money laundering, systemic issue. Here what else the report says. Hope y'all got another 2-3 minutes. Y'all forgive me. The anti-money laundering infrastructure is improving, but faces challenges due to limited technological resources, weak oversight, and a lack of transparency in public procurement. Lack of transparency in public procurement. Remember the Transparency International report? You remember that report? It talked about the public sector, public procurement being captured. Here's the U.S. State Department in this 2025 International Narcotics Strategy report on the same issue. Lack of transparency in public procurement, in the Bamiyan schools of this world, in the Bellevue contracts of this world. You remember those issues? Friends, family favorites, and flatterers, and endorsers. Lack of transparency. Before I let you go, take one more or two. Take one more or two. This is the 2025 International Narcotics Strategy report. It says vulnerabilities in money laundering stem from a relatively small financial sector and limited regulatory resources. That's 5 years. What have they brought to the National Assembly to stem that? Another aspect of the report on money laundering says there's high level of structuring at commercial banks linked to trade-based money laundering, and tax evasion continues. Oh, Jesus have mercy. Oh, Father of mercy. That's something for smash the emoji button. That's something for share the damn light. High levels of structuring at commercial banks is linked to trade-based money laundering and tax evasion continue. Pim Pim 2024. Tammy Gibbs, Gwyneth, Sion, Tommy, Leslie, Pim Pim. Pim Pim, Bam Bam. Bam Bam. Bam Bam. Hear this. Hear this one. Again, remember it says a lot of people in the drug area, policemen and so on, underpaid. Again, in money laundering, the underpaid and under-resourced Guyana Police Force, PPP, the underpaid and under-resourced Guyana Police Force is considered a weak link in the anti-money laundering efforts. Oh, Father, the PB promised to raise the salaries by 50%. How are we doing so far? Is how much they're given this year? 8%. The underpaid and under-resourced Guyana Police Force is considered a weak link in the anti-money laundering efforts. I think I'll stick in one more before I let you go. One for the road, as they say. One for the road, as they say. One more. Finally, folks, right? This says in the country's comparative table, this is according to the 2025 International Narcotics Control Strategy Report. In the country comparative table, Guyana's list as N, negative, nada. You are the word to N, for having a system for identifying, freezing, and confiscation of illegal proceeds. So you might know people involved in money laundering. You might know people involved in the drug trade, right? And this is how they do the things they do. But in 5 years, while we have made some effort, the report says, in anti-money laundering efforts, right? People can still benefit from their ill-gotten gains. So we got a lot of work to do. Good folks, we got a lot of work to do. And that's why I said, it behooves all of us, you see, to hold a focus. To hold a focus. To hold a focus. And you know, there's a reason why you see them scampering about. They can say they're doing some anti-corruption workshop, and you can see a couple drug busts and so on, but nothing to really dent the thing. Right? It's all for show. It's all for photo ops. But let me show you this. Let me show you this. What the last administration did. Right? Let me show you this. Some of what the last administration did. Under the last administration, Tessa, we got our best ratings on the Transparency International Index. Best ratings ever as a country. And we didn't do nothing. Right? We run this country into the ground. Flap y'all. With your lies. With your lies and propaganda. Best ratings. Under the last administration, top middle, we were removed from the European Commission money laundering blacklist. Under the last administration, we didn't get on the blacklist. We were taken off. We were taken off. Right? Under the last administration, we received tier 1 status for our fight against trafficking in persons. Under the last administration, the DA's office was set up here after decades trying under the PPP to deal with the illicit drug trade. Okay? Under the last administration, we come off another blacklist. This is the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force blacklist. That's all you get with the PPP, you know. A set of corruption and a set of blacklist. You're going to be placed on a set of blacklist. Concussion Road blacklist. Drug trafficking blacklist. Caribbean task for all them blacklists we can go on. Right? And of course, it was under us 10 days after taking office that very legislation that the report refers to, that got the teeth to do the work but never really want to implement it, that very legislation was implemented 10 days after taking office in May of 2015. Right? That countering the financing of terrorism. Right? That anti-money laundering legislation was enacted. I mean, facts are stubborn things. You see? Facts are stubborn things. And as long as I hear, we can keep beating the iron on valid and credible information. We can keep doing it. And it behooves all of us, you know, when we come on, we have our small part to play too. You know, we have our small part to play too. I know some of you, because of your jobs and so on, you don't want to share the content because you're afraid of marginalization and victimization and all of that. All right, fair enough. But those of you who can, we want others to receive the valid and credible information as well. Please and thank you. Before you run off, we're going to be off tomorrow morning because we got to get on the ground to get your valid and credible information here for you guys. That being said, folks, we're going to leave it here for today. That's our time and that's our program. You know, please and thank you. If you all can continue to help us to move forward in terms of being a sponsor to our program, sending a kind donation that we can keep the lights on, keep the internet going and keep the doors open. We'll be ever so grateful. We're going to leave it here for today. And it behooves all of y'all. Y'all can watch back the program. Share all those things. You know, reshare the program. We're going to cut that part out because I think it's so potent. What that report says, again, this is the 2025 International Narcotics Control Strategy Report out of the United States State Department. State Department, and you know those folks do the homework. Not like us. Right? That is part of the PAP legacy. I don't know. You want to accept that? They're going to find a way to strain and say, oh, it's them boys who left power in 2020. It's they affected us in 2024. It's Granger. It's the Granger faction. You know, but you got to take the whole thing. You see, PAP want governance, but they only want the bike revving part. PPP want governance, but they only want the red jacket, moonwalk and wine part. As the fellow said, they may moonwalk and wine. But the hard issues of governance, you see, they don't want that. And so they can now spew up all kinds of distractions to keep us from the things we should be focused on. The things that should be on the ballot. The general and regional elections. But we go hold our focus. Folks, that's our time and that's our program this morning. Thanks for joining us. It means a lot to us. We're going to see you guys on the other side of the day with continued valid, credible information. Stay safe and have a fantastic day. We're out of here, folks. Stay safe.